Three, two. All right, cool. So this Hangout is live. So I don't know if I mentioned, but if you guys have heard of the Ruby Newbies, for anybody watching after the fact or live right now, I could see the viewers that are going up at the moment. Um, yeah, so all these videos that I do, I record them, so that way anybody who can't make it will be able to watch after the fact. So no worries if you don't make it every week or every time I do one of these. I am not offended. And oops, sorry, just had to adjust my volume. Um, yeah, so this is a TDD session. If you've watched any of the videos I've done in the past 3 months, they haven't been some of these practice sessions. It's actually just been me talking, either on the well-grounded Rubyist or I think practical object-oriented design was the last one that I did. And now I think next week I'm going to be talking about private messages and abstraction, something that I always was confused on in the past. Just to give a brief history on who I am too. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I realized as context kind of helps. That's my blog. I started programming about 53 weeks ago, so that's a year and 1 week ago. I decided to get into Ruby. And about 7 months after I decided, I actually had a job working in Rails. But my hope was actually to teach others and myself more Ruby, because it's very easy to learn Rails. Not very easy. That might be an overstatement. Rails is definitely easier to grasp than Ruby, because there's not much grasping that you have to do. A lot of the work's done for you, but there's definitely a strong need for people who know Ruby and know Ruby well. So, and I knew that coming into Ruby very early on. So my goal, once I started really getting into learning, was actually, just got a comment, was actually learning Ruby well and learning programming itself too. Cool. So let's just get right into the TDC session. If you want more background on what we do as far as the community is free the page. We're going to be using nitrous. So I added this awfully put circle here. And if you click that link, that will take you to the nitrous page, which will not bring you here, but it will bring you to the place where you need to sign in and create an account. And then within the Google event page, I actually have a link to the nitrous box that you can actually see the code. I need to delete this code. I was doing some practice here earlier to, I'll leave that test there, doing some practice to actually get back, I guess, used to using nitrous. I haven't used nitrous in about 5 months. So the good news is nothing's changed. I actually was going to use Cloud9 earlier. But Cloud9 has gone through some changes where now a lot of the features, as far as collaboration, they're now paid. So you have to pay to do certain things. And then also the actual app itself was very slow, I found this morning. And my computer's pretty fast, so I was a little disappointed with that. So I had to make it audible and switch to nitrous. But like I said, I just want to jump right into the TDD. I don't want to do much talking beforehand. Here's the deal. So TDD, test-driven development, it's very big in the Ruby community. There is a lot of conversation whether it's not worth it or if it's really needed. I find that TDD is a good thing to know. It's a good way to learn how to test. It's also a hard way to learn how to test. It's hard to start with the blank screen. I actually had some code here in the calculator .rb, but when you have no idea what you're going to write next, TDD kind of helps. Knowing what next steps to take. So that's my idea as far as learning TDD. It's not necessary to be in the Ruby community or get a job doing Ruby. I know at my job I do Rails, and TDD is not really required, but some of us do it. I do it every now and then, but I'm trying to get more in the habit of actually doing TDD, which hopefully doing this on a weekly basis, or bi-weekly at the moment, but hopefully it'll be weekly. The goal for this is to start doing this at least every other week, and then if we get more of I guess, what am I looking for? A good response as far as a lot of people. I know we had maybe 40 people RSVP, which has probably been the most that we've had for an event like this. which is good because it seems like people are interested in just doing something similar to this. So that's good. So if we ended up needing to make a new event or maybe do this twice a week, then I am more than welcome or more than happy to do it. But at the moment, I am just going to do every other week to kind of get our feet wet doing this. So I've had the screen up and I haven't read it yet. Here, rules for TDD practice session. So I'm only allotting 30 minutes to complete the problem. I think 30 minutes is more than enough time, especially if a group of people to attack a problem. The idea is not actually solving the problem. The idea is actually learning testing. So there's going to be a real strong desire to just like write tons of code and solve the problem without ever writing any test. That's a big no. We're trying to avoid that. So what we're going to try to do is everything must start with a test. So before you write any code, you have to write at least one test. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to just we're just going to all attack it all together. Normally, what I've done in a local meetup is we do a randori style. So we do a pair, and each person gets 5 minutes to try to solve the problem, and we kind of do a round robin. Going around the table, and each pair gets a chance to solve the problem. I think we'll have more organization once we actually do this more. So that's why my goal is to at least just start doing it and worry about organization later. So at the moment, once we start getting the coding, if you have an idea of we're going the wrong way, feel free to just send a message in the chat. Cool. Sorry, I was going to send a message. Anyway, yeah, I'll help you out in a sec, Jason. Sorry, where was I at? So what we'll do is, write a test first before we write any code. Eventually, if you aren't used to doing TDD, it'll become second nature. It might not be the first week, it might not be the second week or the second try, but I guarantee by the third or fourth time you do this, it'll start to become second nature. You'll know what the first test to write is right off the bat. And you'll see that because I've been doing this for a while. So yeah. Also debugging. It's another thing that I always reach for pry or debugger. So I personally just want to add that last rule. Debugging should be only used as a last result, and should only be used as a last resort. Okay, I don't know what I was going for there. Yeah. So yeah, only to be used as a last resort, not a first. So those are the main rules. Not too many rules. For recording, as far as these videos, because like I said, we're going to record all these, just so anybody who's interested to watch this after the fact can get to know how to do TDD and all that stuff. Just obviously be polite. Try not to overpower one another. I know a lot of times if you get a lot of programmers in the same room, even the beginners, we all have our ideas. Be respectful and try not to steer everything to your idea. I actually heard a good comment with pair programming. Always go with the other person's idea, because if their idea doesn't work, then you could always have yours as a fallback. I know if everybody says no, you go first, and obviously nothing's gonna work. So, but yeah, bottom line, just be polite. If you're on the Hangout, turn off your camera. It actually helps with the bandwidth. And in the past, I've had some issues with Google Plus crashing. So just in order to avoid all that, we just turn off our camera just to make sure the recording's not broken or crashes in the middle of us, because that sucks a lot. If you have a lot of room noise, just mute your mic and check the chat box periodically if you're on the Google Hangout to answer any questions. That's it, and then there's some setup information mainly for the GitHub. If you are on the Exorcism.io for Ruby Newbies, I actually already invited you to the GitHub page. I'm actually creating a Ruby for Newbies because Ruby Newbies was taken, so it's now Ruby for Newbies on GitHub. So github.com/Ruby for Newbies, and then you'll find TDD practice, and we'll have all the problems. So after each week, I will actually, push to the progress branch. So the master branch will always just have the problems and maybe the test. If I do write up one test before or set up the test suite, that will have that. But if you want to see our progress, you just go to the progress branch. And that is it. So I am actually ready to jump right in. So for you guys that are online viewing outside of the Hangout, I do have the chat live and ready to go. So if you have any questions, please use the chat. That is the website for your blog. Victor, I'm not sure if what the issue is. I have a website for your blog. Did I put not the nitrous link? I'm just going to throw the nitrous link here. Oh, well, yeah, the nitrous links are right there. I'll start on again. If you want to see the code, if not, you can, obviously you can see the video. The video is not going to change. So once I switch over to start doing code, I'm not going to switch back and forth. So you will be able to see the video and provide your input as far as directions on what to test and what code to write. Feel free. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're all set. So yeah, if you guys online, if you want to join in, let me know. I have a feeling maybe it might be a Brian show, and I might be talking and typing at the same time, which kind of gets hard. So yeah, with your input, it's definitely be helpful because there might be a lot of silence. So, oh yeah, I also wanted to talk about testing real quick. So I only have this gem file. Minitest is actually built in with Ruby, so you don't really have to do this. But I just wanted to just show you that we're actually using Minitest and not RSpec. RSpec's another DSL for testing with Ruby, which is actually more popular than Minitest. But I chose to go with Minitest because out of the box it just already works. And syntactically, there's not more to learn. If you already know how to write a Ruby method, you can write a Minitest. A Minitest. I was going to say Minitest test, but that would have been redundant. So yeah, I chose to use with Minitest. Also, personally, I use RSpec a lot more. So Minitest is more of a challenge. Actually, it's not really that much of a challenge, but I just wanted to expand myself and try out the new Minitest. But yeah, if anybody has any objections against Minitest, we could also do RSpec for a future session. Just make your objections known through either messages or emails or hassle me. So yeah, that's why I put the gem file there. So this is the actual test suite. I wrote the first test, but I didn't show you the problem yet. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to go 30 minutes and not a minute over. And then once I do 30 minutes, I'm actually going to explain the test and go through README and then go through the test. So, timer is started. Hopefully in the future, I'm actually going to hopefully do cam twist in the future to be able to have a timer on the screen. I didn't have time to mess around with that for the moment. But this is the sample. I got this this TDD kata from it's from this site, but I actually got it from our local meetup called the Orlando Ruby Dojo. We did it like maybe 5 months ago, and I felt like it'd be nice just to go through this again because I don't think we actually even finished it. Oops. And I find it's actually easier to read on GitHub. So cool. So that's it. Real quick, if you're trying to get in the Google Plus Hangout, there is a link that says link to join in case you did not get an invite. That should throw you right in. If you're logged into Google Plus, that should throw you right in to the Hangout that we're on right now. You'll be able to talk to me and provide feedback. If it doesn't work, I know in the past, one of the guys that have joined me in the past, you actually might have to log out of your Google account, re-log into your Google account, and then hit the link again, and it should work that way. If that doesn't work, we do have a Q&A. And Oh. And also, could we just have a sound off if you're on watching? Just let me know if you could see my screen, because I didn't even check to see if everybody could see the video. You guys online, could you just, I guess, ping me on the chat? And this, I just want to make sure that everybody could see the screen. Oh, so Jason, you made it. Awesome. So that's the link to the GitHub README for the problem. I'm just throwing this in the actual Google Hangout chat for you guys. That's the link for the nitrous box. If it doesn't work, then we might have to figure that out later. That way we can just go through. And if you really need it, here's the kata from the website if you want to read through that later. We're not going to get through all that. I can tell you that right now. All the steps. He's got like 9 steps, but we'll probably get through maybe the first 2, just because it's going to be a lot of explaining as I go through. But yeah, I did start the timer, so let me just go ahead and start through the problem, and I'll stop if anybody's got questions or has any input. So here's a kata. We're actually going to do a string calculator. So basically, where's the README? This is what we expect to do. If you're familiar with the Ruby syntax, I hope you are. If not, join us with the ride. I'll come along for the ride, I guess. But basically, we want to be able to have a method called add. If you see string calculator.new, we want to have a method that adds the strings separated by commas and produces an integer, it looks like. Yeah, it doesn't look like a string, so integer. And yeah, it looks pretty self-explanatory. And then eventually, once we get that to work, then it wants to be able to separate by line breaks, which is the /n, or is it the backslash? I don't know. Maybe \n, and be able to find numbers between any non-number characters. So hint, we'll probably use a regex. Ooh. Hey, Carl, I'm going to meet. Oops, sorry, I muted myself. I was just trying to say, Carl, you have a lot of background noise. I'm trying to mute you, but okay, awesome. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell. So I just wasted 5 minutes going through the explanation. Anybody have questions on the string calculator and how it works? I think it's pretty straightforward. We just need, looks like just one method, and that's it. So let's get into TDD. If you're not familiar with nitrous, I might give you a little show later on. How do I turn off? Oh, let's close that chat. That's not needed. All right. So, and then I have, I think you could pull this up. Cool. All right. So I already wrote a test. If you're not familiar with how many test works, literally all you have to do is just type Ruby and then write the file name that we want to run, and it runs a test. So why does that test pass? The test passes because I already wrote code that passed it. So I deleted the code that passed that test, and because I did this earlier, I kind of explained and alluded to that earlier. But so we have to write code to make this test pass. So the idea, and syntactically, we're using this the test syntax where you start your method with test, so that way RSpec knows it's a RSpec. Sorry, Minitest knows that this is a test. So when we run that file, anything that has test in front of it will be run. We're using assertions. So we're just asserting that if you call calculator.add, it will equal 0. That is it. Yeah. So we have a failing test. So it's not working. All right. Yeah, if you guys can't get in Nitrous box, that's fine. I might do another hangout later this weekend to practice with other people, just to make sure that I've got the system down for Nitrous. I 7 o'clock this morning, I tried it out with Cloud9 and it didn't work, so I switched to Nitrous, but did not get a chance to practice through, and haven't used it in about 5 months. So I think, yeah, I've got my collab mode on. And got collab mode. Oh, you know what? Jason, are you able to view the nitrous? The ID is still not into working. Kish. Oh, you know what? Maybe I might need to add you to the box. So if you are still trying to get the nitrous, just throw your nitrous name in the chat, and I need to add you. That's what I need to do. There's a manage collaborators, and I'll need to actually put your email or username. Cloud9 was different. Actually, Cloud9 you could actually view it and not have to log in. Nitrous is a little different, so I forgot about that. But let's actually get back to the test because we haven't run anything. So first thing I usually do is run the test suite. I've been using Exorcism for about a month straight, trying different languages, and I always run the test suite first just to get a failing test. The idea for TDD is red, green, and then refactor. So you run the test, you get a failing, or you write a test, you get a failing test, so it's red. We don't have any colors set up for many tests at the moment, but I just realized at the bottom of that. Okay, so we don't have any color set up. What was I getting at? Red, green, factor. So we write the test, get red. We write code to get it to green, and then if we don't like the code, we refactor it. So the idea is not to spend too much time on syntax and making sure everything was beautiful. You just write code that pass, and then you refactor later. So I apologize. I'm all over the place, but I kind of figured it would be like this for the first one. Oh, Kevin, is your username really NNN? Or is that just you just typing random stuff? All right. So Jason, you should have access to the ID. All right. Yeah, so my computer just definitely just crashed. Luckily, the recording's actually still going. I am quickly getting back into where I was. Oh, Google Plus crashed all completely. Yep. Man. If it didn't go straight to YouTube and record itself and everything, I would produce something different. But that functionality alone is hands down the best.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop. I'm actually gonna start this writing code like crazy once I show my screen to you guys once again. All right, there's a screen. So I think I only got Jason in. Actually, if you guys feel free to write code to pass the first test, I can actually just kind of. Man, you guys are creative with these names.
Mine is a logic name, so
Okay,
yeah. Um,
cool.
can actually read more about it here.
All right. So if you're invited, you can now see nitrous. If not, we'll have to just skip by. So also the one thing that's kind of annoying with nitrous, you start off in a workspace, so you actually have to get in the workspace to be able to get into the project, which you can kind of see at the bottom of the screen what I'm doing. All right. Man, luckily this is an easy problem. Um, so this is where we're at. Let's just get the first task passing. I know what it needs to do. We just need a calculator. And I just need to spell it right. Calculator. So this is complaining that it's an uninitialized constant calculator. It doesn't know what calculator is because there's no calculator. So I just saved the file. Awesome. So we didn't pass the test, but now we're getting a different error. So if you guys noticed, this is how TDD is all about. You just look at the errors, and the errors tell you what to do next. So now we know we just need a method called add. And you think that's going to work, but it's not because I didn't save. All right. Oh, you know what? Sorry. It's actually not. It doesn't know what add is because this needs to be a class method. And the easiest way to do a class method is to add self in front of it. So now we get a different error. I could have added an initializer, but technically I'm not initializing any attributes. So I usually just put self in front. Other people are kind of really strict with using initializers. I'm not. So if you have any objections, let me know, but I'm just going to keep going on this path. So now this new test is now saying that I have no arguments passed into my method. So I need to pass an argument into it, which I'm going to do there. And I'm moving kind of quickly just because we spent a lot of time talking, and we're down to like 15 minutes left. Um, so awesome. Here's a test. TDD. Anybody have any questions? Let me know. I've got the Q&A up too, but I think everybody's in the chat at the moment. Oh no, we got two people watching outside. So yeah, actually, let me switch to QA. Q&A. We've got no questions. Okay. Yeah. So, Jason, do you have a question?
Yeah, the self method that you're using for the add, is
Yeah.
that an initial number? The self here that we're taking and putting onto num. Why aren't there two variables? Is what I'm asking.
Because we're basically so the way this README goes is we're
Mm-hmm.
passing in one string.
Right.
So I guess numbers name-wise, num is not a good name because we're actually going to get multiple numbers.
Right.
So that name actually should be numbers.
Right.
This is actually a better name because we're actually getting a string of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We could type in a string of numbers, but I think that is actually best, not good practice in Ruby to actually put the type within the name.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually meant to be avoided. So
Okay.
we know it's going to be a string. So we just put numbers. So we got to, and now that we have an argument, we're actually getting a test. Until it's an application needs to maintain a state. Shouldn't this be a module? You know, it really could be a module, but for the sake of passing test, I'm just going to keep going on this path. This is Victor is actually talking from the Q&A. Um, honestly, I do a lot of coding in Rails, so I don't even have to deal with most of this. If it's going to be a module, if it's a module, it's a module in Rails, and if it's not, it's a model. And but yeah, just passing the test for now. Again, red-green refractor, so we're actually going to pass the test, and if we need to make this self and actually add an initializer, we can do that. But for now, we're just going to pass this test. So, any ideas on how to get this test to pass at this point? We got nil, but we're expecting 0. Oh yeah, yeah. You can click on. I just saw you click in, Jason. So if you want to type what you think might be it. I know the answer because I already did this beforehand.
The result should give you a blank string, I think, or you're adding a blank string.
Yeah. Well, right now
or
we
you're
got nil.
passing a blank string.
We have nil because we have nothing in here. So Ruby automatically it defaults to nil.
Okay.
So we just want to get this. That's all we need.
Okay, so we want to take the we actually want to take the string that we passed to the method and convert that to an integer.
Oh, sorry. So let's look at the test real quick.
Yeah.
So we're expecting 0,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a blank string.
Right.
So if we have a blank string, which is we have nothing, we just want to make sure if that's blank, then return 0.
Right.
The easiest thing to make this test pass is literally just typing in 0. And we'll watch the test pass. Yeah, so that's a passing test. So we have 1 assertion and no failures. And if you saw before, we had 1 failure and 1 assertion. Yep. So now with TDD, what the deal is we can either refactor now or we can move to the next test. But obviously, the next test is going to fail. So if we want to refactor, we could and say if again, it's writing whatever code we can get. If numbers equals blank string, then we'll do that. That way, it's more code, and we'll see if that works, and it passes. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna. I guess we'll just walk down this if conditionals, just because now we're down to 12 minutes left, and we've only got 1 test passing. So now we need to write another test. So that was a test that actually takes input. It's not really takes input. That's a bad name. Test returns 0 if blank. That's better. Again, I'm in the practice of I write whatever I want in a test or in a model. And I usually don't worry about renaming it until the very end when I'm actually done with all the code. Some people get hung up on that when they pair with me because sometimes I'll write like test foo, and that's really not a good practice because nobody knows what foo is. But I usually end up changing it eventually. But my idea is like if I spend all day trying to make sure my names are perfect and the best code ever, I'll never get past the second test. So that's my practice. If you don't like that, feel free to log in and start writing some code. So we need, since we already have this already outlined, I kind of have this already outlined. Actually, we had outlined from our previous use of this at a local meetup. Test numbers get added. So that's our method. Jason, feel free to speak up if you have any questions. I'm just going to write this because for this, I really want to keep this video not too long. I'm just going to use the same syntax that I'm using already. Calculator. So I just took that exact method from the README, that was already provided. And since literally we can just walk down here and test all these cases and see if that works. So I'm kind of making it easy as far as the TDD goes for this round. Probably won't add all this stuff in here in the future, so that way we can kind of figure it out on our own. But again, I kind of foresaw that this was going to take a lot of time just explaining. So I wrote a test, and this did not work because I have a syntax error. Did I write an end somewhere? Oh, I guess we can just look at it. So with a test, it usually tells you what line. So calculator, line 5. I have an error.
Yeah, the end. Because let me see.
I have too many ends.
Yeah.
Do I have too many ends? I have an end, and
No, you don't.
oh no. I guess I didn't save the file. That was a problem. Oh, yeah, I don't think I saved the file. My Sublime actually have checks to save whenever I leave a file, so sometimes I'll forget. So now we got 2 failing tests. Not sure what I did to fail the other tests, but let's do this real quick. Comment out the test and figure out why that last test is still failing. Okay, the last test isn't failing. Okay. Yeah, I'm just having problems with it actually saving. It's just not recognizing that I'm writing code. So we need to get that second test to pass.
Okay. Did you want to use the same method here? Because we could set up we could just set up a number of cases actually.
Well, we'd only need one case because we only have
one case. Yeah.
one string in this test.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll just tell you right now, let's just do an else statement. Just because time-wise, we only have 5 minutes.
Right.
I'd love to pass more than one test while doing this video.
Actually, I noticed on the, let me see, the TDD, we have negative strings. I don't know, that would be kind of our base case, the 0 and the negative strings.
Well, we don't have negative strings in this test.
No, we
this
don't.
This test has 1, 2, and 4. So yeah. we have to focus on passing that first test or that second test. So my idea would probably just do an else statement and start throwing more code in there. This method's going to get a little large with doing more conditionals. We could always abstract it later or refactor. But again, my idea is like don't spend too much time trying to name my stuff perfect or getting perfect code. Because if you do that, you'll spend all day writing code and not really learning how to do TDD. So basically, this is going to do if that's blank, return 0. If it's not blank, do something else. So I'm just going to start shooting stuff out there. I think if we do like numbers.map, so we could take each item and put it in an array. But I wonder, what am I going to do? So if we use the map method, which is a Ruby method, we can... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that you could actually chain methods. So you could do, since the numbers method is a string, you could do numbers.split.toI. And
oh yeah, I think split.
Yeah, and then you can like add them up.
Okay. So
convert, and then you'd convert them to integers.
I'm doing completely
Mm.
bad practice by saying num array. But anyway, so if we have numbers dot split, then we could do num dot like num array.
You want to change it to I2 at the top.
Oh, dot 2i.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't think there's any input. Um, Actually, let's see what that returns. So this is what we return by just getting that code, by doing that. So we want to not split by space. We want to split by comma. So that way now we get this. What is
Okay.
it? So now we have 1, 2, and 4 in an array.
Yeah.
So now we literally have a num array.
Right.
So
It
maybe,
says undefined method to I for the array for num array.
oh, yeah, we can't do that
No,
there.
no, we can't do that.
But we could actually do dot each, and
Oh,
now
wait a second. Wait a second. What if we put the to I before the split? So,
um,
so numbers dot to I and then that,
yeah,
and then you could just split them.
that
Okay.
works. Oop.
Or you could just do numbers to I actually.
Undefined method split for fixed num. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're doing too many. We are too many
Yeah.
chain methods. Let's just worry
Okay.
about working with the array now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're down to 2 minutes left. So I'm just going to start throwing some random code out here. Random code. I'm going to throw some code that might not make sense to some people, but I think we can do each x our sum plus equals x, and that might work. Oh, because it's still a string. Uh,
Let me.
do 2i here. Not quite.
Okay. Um. Give me a
I was
second.
trying to do like, oh, you know what? That's what I'm doing. I need to return some. Ruby returns the last thing. That's what it was. Sorry, I just kind of threw some code out there because we're now out of time. Literally, that was 30 minutes. Normally, it hasn't took us that much time to get prepared, but we had some
Mm-hmm.
issues with nitrous. Um, but I guess for now, since this was kind of a learning experience for all of us, and we're hopefully getting to a rhythm as far as what we're going to use and how to get this going, starting faster. Let's just talk through the code that I just wrote. So we got that num array, which we got, and then I created a variable called sum that's already set to a fixed num. So
Mm-hmm.
that when we had our array, I was iterating using this each, which is part of the enumerable um, module for Ruby, and then I opened up a block. Normally, you could do and end. I don't know as far as where everybody's at with Ruby, how much they know, um, but that's the same thing as doing this. It's just in one line. So then it's going to take each number in the array, which is 1, 2, and 4, which is here, and it's gonna take that number, which is symbol. It's represented with this x. It's going to convert it to a 2i, which we tried to do up here, but was just too much to work with. And we're adding it to the sum, so that way the
Ah.
sum continues to go up every time we have a new number. And then also we split by the comma because it was actually putting commas in the array. So that passed the test. I mean, it's not good code, but it's working code. Um, Anybody have any questions or reflections on what we did? I honestly thought maybe we would have got at least one or two more tests in, but we didn't. So I'll probably submit my solution and then post it in the group um, later. Actually, probably Probably not later tonight, but probably later in the week. I'll just post my solution. And if anybody's got any comments, or I recommend anybody else do the same thing. This is a pretty fairly easy problem if you're not explaining and pair programming and stuff like that. I mean, you could probably finish this problem in 10 minutes, really, if you knew Ruby or whatever language you write in. But yeah, it's just TDD. It's sometimes it can be a beast just getting started.
Yeah, just one thing. I found a little hint here. I was looking through the array classes,
Yeah.
and I found a method uh, called .collect. You can put a block
Yep.
in it,
Yep.
and then turn those things into integers. So
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm familiar with the collect method, but it just never came across my mind. I kind of a lot of times when I do like do videos, I always go with the easiest thing that I can think of just to pass the test because I think we definitely could have done a refactor on this. We actually could have probably refactored our first test a little better too. Um, but yeah, that was fun. I think most of the times that we're gonna do this, we're probably gonna get stuck on maybe the first four tests, but that's good because a lot of the hard part is actually starting
Hmm.
testing rather than actually continuing testing. And again, it's not about solving the problem. It's actually about going through TD and seeing your test passed. I'm actually going to look into adding a gem to make sure this is colored next time, so we can actually literally do red-green refactoring and not just white, 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 and white. Actually, I don't think that it. Yeah, it doesn't even go red when it fails. That's one nice thing about RSpec. It's a lot easier adding colors to RSpec than it is to Minitest. Um, but yeah, as far as anybody in the chat, any questions? I did want to throw out again for anybody who didn't see or wasn't here in the beginning. Um, GitHub.com/Ruby4newbies. Ruby newbies was taken, so I had to put a 4 in there and be creative. Um, that is where we're going to put our practice, the TDD practice. And if you go to the branch, I will push what we did so far onto the progress branch,
Right.
and that way we can work off of that. And obviously, you can delete the code if it's no good. But the rule is make sure you write test to show your work, I guess. I also have a README here for Need More TDD. If you have ideas as far as problems that we can do for these sessions, please share. Even if they're not Ruby problems, if it's an idea that maybe you thought in your head, if you can explain it, how we can proceed in writing tests and stuff like that. That's what test is all about. It doesn't have to be like literally all the stuff that we went through in explanation here. It could just be, I want a string calculator, and then we could probably figure it out. I could write a quick README about it, and then what the expectations. This actually should be expectations. But yeah, I think the hardest part about doing some of these sessions is probably just finding small problems to work on. And if not, we'll just use large problems and get very, very slow. Also, we did this in the summer months ago, and the first two sessions are on YouTube if you want to go back and see what we did using Cloud9. I have those in the repo also, so this file is probably going to get pretty large. But yeah, that's all I've got as far as for the video. If you guys want to stay in chat for a little bit, I'm fine to chat. Um, Again, I'll try to figure out. Actually, we just figured out nitrous. I had to add you manually.
Hmm.
Cloud9 was opposite. You actually could view the code without being part of it. But nitrous is you have to actually be invited. So now I know that. The good news is those guys that I invited, I don't have to ever invite you again because I'll be using the same file over and over again. So you'll have no worries in the future. So that way, I think before we actually start the recording, I will get everybody's nitrous name that wants to participate and invite them right away, rather than wait while we're doing the video. So I'm actually going to end the video because it's now almost an hour video, which I was actually aiming for 30 minutes. But yeah, again, if you guys want to stay in chat, feel free to hang out.
Uh,